I hadn't knocked yet. I stood on the welcome mat, swaying gently on my feet, and stifled a giggle as a soft, excited squeal bubbled up inside me. I knew what was waiting on the other side of this door. The familiar scent of him, the cozy quiet of his space, the deep, warm pull of his embrace. The whole moment felt like a warm sunbeam waiting to wrap around me. Then the door opened, and there he was, not a shadow of him, not a glimpse through the peephole or the sound of footsteps. No, he was fully there. All of him, tall, steady, barefoot, standing with a kind of casual calm that makes you feel like you've already arrived. His body was carved with a quiet strength, not loud, not intimidating, but settled and sure. The kind of physique that comes not just from movement, but from intention. His broad shoulders, bare under a soft grey t-shirt, stretched gently across his chest as he leaned forward ever so slightly. His eyes lit up the moment they met mine, and he smiled. "You came," he said, his voice like warm honey steeped in patience. And just like that, the world narrowed down to this hallway, this doorway, this man. He didn't ask if I wanted a hug. He didn't reach out so quickly. He just opened his arms slowly, a gentle invitation, like he already knew the answer. And I stepped forward into the space where words couldn't reach. His arms closed around me. My face pressed into his chest, and time changed. He smelled of something soft and earthy, fresh laundry with a hint of cloves and maybe a trace of roasted garlic from the meal he had just finished cooking. I breathed him in like a woman who had been underwater too long. His chest was firm beneath my cheek, the kind of firmness that made me feel like nothing could touch me here. Nothing could harm me. He didn't let go right away. He never did. His hugs were whole body things, offered with a kind of care that made me feel gathered, not just held. His breath was steady, slow, and after a while, so was mine. He didn't speak. He just rocked me, gently, like the world was allowed to be quiet for once. And I noticed something I hadn't expected. The way his body stilled around mine, as if his muscles recognized something sacred in this moment. "I've been waiting for this all day," he said, quietly, almost more breath than voice. He pulled back just enough to look at me. His eyes didn't roam. They rested. They asked no questions. They simply saw. With a smile, he gently took my bag from my shoulder before I could stop him and walked it down the hallway, disappearing into his room. Then he returned, knelt down in front of me, and took off my shoes with a soft, wordless reverence, like he was unwrapping something precious. I slipped them off easily, letting him take over. He placed them gently by the door. A moment later, he came back with a neatly folded warm towel. "To freshen up," he said. I laughed, delighted. "You're too much," I said playfully. He stood, offered me his hand again. It welcomed me like an old friend. "Come," he said, reaching for my hand, fingers warm and open. I took it, and he led me into the apartment and led me to the couch. I curled my legs up under me, my body instantly folding into the cozy fabric. His half-drunk mug of coffee sat on the low table beside an open book, face down and still warm with his presence. I smiled. Of course he had been reading. Inside, the space felt like him. Understated, intentional, and warm. There was something on the stove, something garlicky and slow cooked. But he didn't rush to tend it. He was still holding my hand, still leading with presence. He returned with a soft sigh and knelt again in front of me. This time, I leaned forward, arms outstretched, and he melted into my embrace. I breathed him in again, deeply. My hands rested on his broad shoulders, and his head found its way gently onto my bosom. He sighed then, a deep, weighted kind of sigh, like someone finally allowed to stop holding it all together. He stayed there for a long, still moment, letting the hush of my embrace hold him. My fingers slid up into his hair, smoothing gently. We were cocooned in a little bubble of presence and ease. He asked softly, still nestled close, "How was your day?" I shared the soft highs and little struggles, and he listened, nodded slowly. When I trailed off, he pressed a kiss to my shoulder, like punctuation, like saying, "It's okay. You can let the burdens go now." Then I asked about his day, reaching up to caress his beard, still slightly damp with the scent of oil and lotion. His beard was soft but full, flecked with sun and shadow, and my fingers traced it with admiration. It gave him a thoughtful professorial look, but paired with that playful twinkle in his eyes, it felt like home. I kissed him gently on the lips, just once, then whispered, "Come up here with me." He obeyed with ease, taking the pillow and nestling himself on the couch. I slipped between his legs and reclined back onto his chest. I curled into his lap like I had done it 100 times before, knees tucked to the side, head resting just below his chin. He adjusted a blanket around us, one hand on my back, the other anchoring my legs softly across his. His arms wrapped around me again, his hands smoothing over my side. He kissed my cheek, warm and deliberate, and I savored his breath, its warmth, its rhythm, the calm certainty it carried. His voice, when he murmured anything at all, was like a balm, and his heartbeats behind my back felt like a second home. His hands were massive, yes, but his touch wasn't about size, it was about sensitivity. He didn't grip or groan, he stroked, pressed, lingered. One hand rested gently on my spine, fingertips tracing small circles through the fabric. With each breath, I sank deeper into him. We stayed like that, silent, as the calm thoughts trickled through our minds. Just his breath, just the moment. Eventually, I noticed the book again. I leaned forward slightly and asked, "What were you reading?" When I moved, my hand nestled close to him to motion for him to bring me the book. That's when I felt it. His arousal. Not urgent, not pressing, just present, resting quietly beneath me, a steady pulse against my thigh. There was something profoundly respectful in how he didn't shift or apologize. He just let it be known without making it a thing. He looked down at me, his smile soft but sure. "I want you to feel everything, but never pressured. I'll wait until you're ready, until it's right, until it's us," he said calmly. Something fluttered in my chest, not just desire, dignity. I reached up and cupped his face. His beard had just enough length to be soft, and I traced the edge of his jaw, memorizing the shape of restraint. "You're not used to being held like this, are you?" he asked. I shook my head gently. He kissed my forehead. "Well," he teased, "get used to it." We didn't speak much after that. He played a documentary, some nature piece about octopus intelligence, of all things, and I watched, half listening. My real focus was his breath, the way his chest rose and fell under my cheek, and how his hand moved up to the base of my skull. He began to massage, fingers spread wide, warm and slow, moving in tiny, thoughtful circles across my scalp. I felt the release instantly, not just in my head, but in my shoulders, my breath, my belly. His touch was both practiced and intimate, like he'd studied what made people feel safe and decided to master it. I let myself melt. And still, even as I softened, I could feel his presence sharpen, the way his focus never left me, the way his energy stayed tuned to mine, like I was music and he was the instrument, tuned just right. From time to time, I glanced up. He wasn't watching the screen, he was watching me. "You're fascinating," he whispered, smiling. "You disappear into rest like it's an art." I blushed. He kissed the tip of my nose. Then he stood up quietly, kissed the top of my head, and went to the kitchen. I could hear him open the fridge, the clink of glass against counter. When he returned, he handed me a cold drink with a soft smile, as if the whole gesture had been choreographed just for me. He had a way of doing everything with thoughtfulness. I teased him. "Are you always this perfect, or is this just for me?" He laughed, a rich, low sound that filled the room, and leaned down to kiss my forehead. "Just for you," he said. We sipped our drinks together, the silence stretching long and easy. Dinner was a quiet affair. He'd made something simple but rich. Roasted vegetables, a buttery grain, and lemon chicken that practically fell apart under my fork. He didn't fuss, didn't expect praise, but I gave it anyway. I helped bring back the plates to the table, brushing past him on purpose, just to feel the quiet spark of his presence again. He grinned and let it happen. We sat across from each other, knees brushing under the table, sharing bites and trading glances. "You cook like you love people," I said. He looked up from his plate and grinned. I do. When we were done, he picked up the dishes. I'll help, I offered. He gave me a look. Only if you insist, he said, laughing. Then it won't feel like a chore, I replied. Then the kitchen. We moved like a practiced dance. I rinsed, he soaped. I nudged him with my hip, and he bumped me back with his, both of us grinning. Bubbles flew once or twice, and I pretended to be scandalized. He laughed and wiped a dab of foam from my nose with a dish towel. Then he reached over and flicked a bubble of soap at my cheek. I retaliated by smudging his nose with a spoonful of foam. The laugh that burst from him was childish, boyish, and free. Playful, I said approvingly. I contain multitudes, he replied with mock pride, then added, but I mostly contain affection. We dried the last of the dishes and leaned against the counter side by side, our hands loosely laced. The kitchen light cast a glow over everything, like the moment was something sacred. And then he did something that startled me in the gentlest way. He leaned down, lowering great heights with grace, and kissed the center of my spine. Not the base, not my neck, right in the middle, between shoulder blades, as if to point the part of me that carried the most tension. I froze, moved, not scared. That's where you carry the world, isn't it? He murmured. I didn't have words. I just nodded. He kissed the spot again, slowly, reverently. And I knew this was not a man in a hurry. This was a man who worships gently, who speaks strength through touch, who kisses without conquering, who teaches without preaching, who waits without wavering. That night, as I prepared to leave, he stood behind me at the door and wrapped his arms around my waist. He rested his chin on the top of my head, and I closed my eyes, memorizing the weight of him, the warmth, the steadiness. Come back when you want more quiet, he said. I turned, looked up at him and smiled. You make the world quieter. His smile deepened. No, you just finally found someone who listens. And as I walked back into the evening air, I carried something new with me. Not a promise, not a plan, just a presence. And the slow unfolding knowledge that sometimes healing doesn't come with fire. It comes with arms that hold, eyes that see, and a man who waits at the door, like home.